Good afternoon and welcome to the Happy Half Hour. I'm Leigh Kubin.
And I'm Sandra Priestley. Welcome to our podcast. Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday.
You know how you've been drinking peach water this entire time, like quite a few days or quite a few weeks? Well, I'm just drinking ice water.
Just
Man,
ice.
I don't know what happened, but the hot sweats are next level now.
Well,
All
I
of
am drinking my lemon water today.
see,
Yeah.
you
And the only reason is because I've got two hypnotherapy sessions after we're done. And I don't know if, maybe it'd be more fun. Surprise. So
well,
I figured I would be together for that. But
nice.
wow, what a week.
What's going on?
The energy room. So it's a
Oh,
place where you go and meditate. They play Hertz music. They've got it up on the screens. I have a fantastic story to share about this place, but I can't share anything just yet.
I can't wait.
But I will in a couple of weeks. But it was a magical meeting, and it was inner guidance that made me walk in the front door. And great connection with the owner. And we're going to partner. I will tell you that. We're going to partner and do some things together because hypnotherapy and meditation, like what could be better?
Mhm.
So in the couple of weeks since we've met, I've gone in and I did a session, an hour-long session there, and it was amazing. And then the next week, I went back and did a hypnotherapy session with her in that room. And she
So
she was blown
there's
away.
like recliners where you like recline right back, or there's
And
pillows
there
where you
are
sit on the floor.
recliners, but she just sat. She didn't recline.
Oh, okay.
So when
I
I
would
did
be snoring
my
probably.
session,
I would be like curled up on my side sleeping. It would be so relaxing.
yeah, I when I did my session, my recliner was back. But I felt some release. I think just of old shit
Mhm.
that I needed to let go of. And it kind of snapped something into me. And the next day, I'm editing our podcast. And it was the podcast when we were talking about when I had gone into the mosque for my Religions of the World class
Yeah.
and talking about how it allowed me to see we're all the same.
Mhm.
And if it's true for the Muslims, then it's true for everybody. And then I started thinking, and I was totally in the vortex, like contemplating this. And I began looking kind of at the state of affairs in our country between the people.
Mhm.
And it's like if everyone could just talk to everybody and
Yeah.
get to know them, not the scary label that the government or the media or the whoever, I don't know where it comes from, maybe everywhere, but it seems like everyone's afraid of somebody. But once you know those scary people, all of a sudden they aren't really so scary.
Mhm.
And I started thinking, how can we start talking? Because it's like the ants in the jar, the red ants, the black ants, they put them in a jar. Have I told this story? They cohabitate fine. They live together in harmony until someone shakes the jar.
Mhm.
And when the jar gets shaken, the ants attack each other because they
Yeah.
think they're the ones shaking the jar. And it's not, it's the person up that's holding it. And I feel like that's what's happening to us right now. Let's just turn them all against each other. Then we can just do whatever the hell we want to do.
True. Very true.
And it's us to, and I know people are like, I'm not talking to my family. I'm not talking to my best friend. I'm not like, I can't talk to anybody that could vote like that
Wow.
when it's bigger than that. There's more to it than that. And once we start talking and start finding some common ground and coming back together, that's when we'll all get our power back. But we've lost it right now.
Mhm.
And so I'm just contemplating, what does that mean? Well, what it means is it starts with you. Like, you can't do anything for any of those people, but you can do it for you. So I'm like, oh, I should talk to one person a day. Just connect with one person a day.
Mhm.
And that felt really, really, really good. Like, get someone that has something different, whether it's their religion or their political affiliation or their age or their gender or their marital status or their sexual orientation. Go down the list. There's plenty of things that we have differences with people and learn about them.
And so are you posting this somewhere? Are you keeping?
I'm recording, and then early December, maybe. Now I'm starting to think I should wait till Mercury's out of retrograde before I start it.
Hmm.
So maybe as soon as the day that Mercury goes out of retrograde is when I'll start it. I want
Right.
it to be done by the end of December. I don't know that starting something like that in the middle of retrograde when you're not supposed to start anything new is the
Right.
time. So I will ponder it. But I'm going to do videos, and I have interviewed some fascinating people. So I hope someone sees it that will have a different perspective of those kinds of people.
Mhm.
Because at the end of the day, we're all the same.
Yeah.
We all want to take care of our family. We want to be loved. We want to be safe and secure. Like, we all have the same needs, but we were raised differently with different beliefs,
Right.
different
And
expectations.
yeah, we have our own book of law.
Hmm.
We have our own book of law, and that allows us to, or leads us to the decisions that we make. And it doesn't really matter if, like, or the things that we believe and the,
Yeah.
actions that we take. And yeah, it's so interesting because I have a client, she is from the US, and she's really struggling with the banter, particularly before the election, but the banter back and forth. She's really struggling with it. And so
Hmm.
she said she just doesn't know how to get back to balance. And she feels like she's such an empath that she is soaking all of this up. And I said, well, what we could do though is you could be the change then.
Yeah.
Like instead of
I'll
sitting
interview her.
receipt. Oh, yeah, I should let her know
Yeah.
because instead of sitting in a receiving mode of all of the conflicting opinions,
Hmm.
she could just be the light in the world.
Yeah.
Just be the light.
We
Like,
have to be the light. We have to.
yeah. I did that in 2020. And I did something called the Be the Light Challenge. And
Mm,
it was every single day I challenged someone to post something that was not fear based.
yeah.
It was not COVID based. It was not
Oh, yeah.
anything other than like positive.
Yeah.
And it couldn't, and then just use the hashtag be the light challenge
Yeah.
or be the light.
Hmm.
And I just felt so good doing it because I just thought like, man, what if that's just our focus?
Yeah.
Connection,
Yep.
being the light, sharing love, like understanding versus animosity and
Hmm.
arguments.
Yeah.
And I'm right, you're not, right?
Hmm.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
mhm. I love
And
it.
We can't change anyone with
Yeah.
shame and
True.
pointing the finger and saying, shame on you. And I know for a lot of people, it's a morality thing.
Mhm.
How can you call yourself a Christian and vote for a man that does the things that this man does? And if you can do that, then you're not a Christian and you don't deserve my friendship or my love or
Wow.
my time. And I get what they're saying to an extent, but we don't make connections like that. That's
Yeah.
not what Jesus would do, you
Yeah.
know?
What would Jesus do? We need
Yeah,
that WWJD.
yeah. And my daughter posted last night on Facebook something about a religion must be so hollow to put force the Ten Commandments or Bible stories or whatever be put in the classrooms, but refuse to feed lunch to hungry children.
Hmm.
And I said, it's like they don't even know Jesus. I said, but you have to understand, those aren't Christians. Those are the people that have hijacked the Christian name and are going around calling themselves Christians. But those aren't Christians. And there is a difference. And so with that post, all Christians get lumped
Hmm. True.
into this nationalism thing that's going on. The Bible wrapped in the flag with a rifle.
Gosh. What the hell?
Yeah. But that's not who, I mean, I work with them. I work with the nonprofits in the community.
Mhm.
That's not what they do. They are there, they're servants. They're the kindest people you'll ever meet. And they're there to feed people that need food
Right.
without expectation or documentation, or it's just if you need food, come get it. But anyway, I'm gonna start that. And so I will let y'all know. But if
Okay.
nothing else happens, I will make connections with 30 people that are
True.
different than me. And I will see the similarity in all of us at the end
Yeah.
of this. And I will feel connected to a lot of people. And it might inspire some of them to go out and do the same thing. And maybe posting the videos might inspire somebody else.
Right.
So, but we've got to come back together. We have to find a way. But it starts with us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Every one of us. And
Mhm.
like, really, I don't know. I love this serenity prayer. Like, every single time I need some sort of grounding,
Yeah.
serenity prayer.
Yeah.
God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. The wisdom is the hardest part because at this point, there's a lot we cannot change, and
Correct.
there's a lot we can change, but we're getting it fucked up.
Mhm.
A
Yeah,
lot
we
of
go to
people.
work on the stuff that we have no control over
Right.
instead of going, that has nothing to do with me.
Mm-hmm.
Zero,
Exactly.
zilch. I've got a hypnotherapy patient, and she is retirement age, I'll say. And she is a spunky little lady. She is as cute as she can be, but she is cranky and angry. And she called me and said, I need to come see you because I'm going to do something to get myself fired before I retire. My
Oh,
coworkers are driving me crazy. Like all of these things, and her concerns are valid, most of them. But anyway, she comes in and I talk to her and I'm like, are you ready for this? Because it's work. But the reality is you can create your life any way you want. Well, I don't know
Yeah.
if I believe all that, but so she starts, and she's been coming to me for a few weeks. But today she came in and I'm like, tell me about your week. It's the same, everything. And I was going to tell her, if you want to quit, like I'll refund your money.
Wow.
Like if this is not working for you, we do not need to continue. Because if she doesn't change, she's got a very fixed mindset.
Hmm.
Well, I learned a lot about her today. And she's had some trauma, like significant
At
trauma.
work?
No, 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 in life.
Okay.
And I think her mother died maybe at about 70, and her mother died about 70. So she's not anticipating living past 70 because, well, my mother and grandma died at that age. And so she starts talking, and I'm like, okay, well, tell me something good that happened this week. Nothing. Nothing good happened. Well, I put up my Christmas tree and I put up my daughter's Christmas tree. And but that's it. I'm like, well, let's talk more about that. But her
Wow.
default,
You're really scraping the bottom of the barrel there.
right. Finally, I got her to take me to her garden. So, where's your favorite place? My garden. And this was interesting because, in the same way that she goes down the rabbit hole of things she doesn't like, got her talking about her garden. She was talking about the smell of the dirt, her hands in the dirt, looking at the finished product and feeling pride for what she's just done. She
So
talked
she can go
about,
down either rabbit hole.
well,
She
she
can easily go down either rabbit hole,
either.
right?
It's wherever her
Mhm.
focus is at. So then
Right.
she takes me to the mountains and the crisp, cool air, and the sun shines differently in the mountains. And I'm just listening to her going, she's got it.
Yeah.
And I start telling her, you get to create your life any way you want. And she's like, you know, that's not true, right? And I was like, oh, it's 100% true. No, you don't know what's getting ready to rain down on planet Earth. She didn't say planet Earth. I don't know how she phrased it, but that's what she meant. And I said, what? And she goes, have you read Revelations? Which is when Jesus comes back. And I said, well, then you should be excited because that means he's coming back for you. She's like, oh, that's just fairy tale made up stuff. I said, really? So what happens? Well, it's going to be 1,000 years of torture here on earth, and it's starting now.
Oh gosh.
Uh-oh. And I said, well, people thrive in the worst of times, and people suffer in the best of times. And it's because of their focus. Because
Mhm.
no matter what is going on around us, we have the power to see the beauty in it. My patient was, really digging into all the stuff. And, I'm trying to tell her, you get to choose. You don't get to choose. Well, then, she starts telling, there's one way to live and there's one. And I started seeing her, that's what she's been taught.
Mm.
And she looks around at work and there are people with tattoos. They might have pink hair, and she is absolutely opposed. Luckily, I wear long sleeves. She doesn't have to know.
Does she know? Does she
I'm
know?
like, oh, let me make sure my sleeves are pulled down. I don't care. But,
Maybe, yeah, I got to cover up the neck tats
well,
there.
I'm good on the neck. Um, with these fixed mindsets, If we're going to get into a fixed mindset, it should be to love and accept everyone.
Yeah.
But when we sit in these fear-based
Mhm.
beliefs, she believes that the world is going to be tortured for 1,000 years. And
Imagine the rest of her years then, how she will experience, because our minds seek to make us right.
they
We
look,
look
mhm,
for things that tell us we're right.
yeah,
So, I mean, imagine all of the shit that she's going to uncover
yeah,
or like inflate, like
correct.
inflate, right? Because I can experience the same situation as someone else. And I can see it, I can see a completely different thing in the same situation.
Yeah, yeah,
But wow, if you are convinced that everything is going to be death and destruction for 1,000 years, you're going to fucking find it.
yeah, yeah. And
And
it's
I'm not convinced of that. So I will find the
no.
opposite. And that's the big thing, right?
And it was so interesting to me because religious things like that used to trigger me
Okay.
because I was taught some very similar things growing up. And I remember mourning the fact that I would never have children. Well, the world was going to end any day, Sandra.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, as
How
a
sad is
little
that?
kid, hearing these stories of all of these horrific things that were going to happen. Now, I was going to be carried up in the rapture, so I wouldn't be here for any of it. At least my church was nice enough to make up a story to make it better. But I was so upset because I'm like, I'm never going to get to experience life.
Wow.
I'm never going to get married and have a family. And I remember being so sad about that. Like, why am I even here? What's the point? And luckily, I was able to have some people set examples for me on evolving.
Wow.
Yeah, because I can't imagine looking at that and
Mhm.
thinking that's what's coming. How
Right.
do you, in the face of that, get excited about your day? I don't
Yeah.
know. But it all that to say, if you're going to have a fixed mindset, let it be on something you want,
Hmm.
knowing that no matter what is going on around me right now, oh, it's all working out.
Yeah.
I'm in the right place, the right time, the right people.
Well, and I was going to say, I noticed when I used to work for Veterans Affairs Canada,
Hmm.
I was initially for the first probably 6 years, I did interviews with people who were releasing from the military.
Okay.
And what I noticed is that a lot of times they went through this period where it's a real adjustment period. And I noticed it with my colleagues at Veterans Affairs and also my colleagues at Corrections Canada.
Hmm.
And I wondered if it was just like a government thing or what, but I noticed there's a period of time where people are like, you look back at all that you've been through and all that you've sort of managed.
Hmm.
And then you start to get this like in the military, the Canadian military, they call it FIGMO. Fuck it, got my orders. And it's just like, fuck it, I'm leaving anyway. And you kind of like gather all of the shit that's happened and you become more vocal and you speak when you shouldn't. And like, so when you were saying, like, she said, fuck, like, I might, like, I'm going to get myself fired here. I noticed it was like one or two things. Like, it was either fuck it, I'm going to say what I've always wanted to say now because I can.
Yeah.
Or, oh, I'm really going to miss these people.
Mm.
I'm really going to miss talking to this one person who just made
Yeah.
me feel so good every day. It was like, it's a real mix.
Hmm.
And I think you have to, I don't know, like I intentionally, when I retired, I intentionally thought, what am I going to miss here? Like,
Mm.
what do I love about this job and what will I miss here? And I got into this very like melancholy kind of like, I don't know. Like, oh, what will I really miss? And now that I'm gone, there are things that some of those things that I said that I was going to miss, I totally
Yeah.
miss. And then there was some
Mm.
surprises because the surprise was, who am I without it? Like, who am I
Oh,
without it? And so I do feel
that
like,
is a really good point because that is her identity.
yes, it's a real mind fuck. It really is. And I just feel like sometimes we don't necessarily see what it's going to be like and see what parts of us are like dying off.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it just makes me think like, anyone that I have talked to who's gone through retirement, it's
Hmm.
interesting because it is way fucking harder than you think it's going to be on the other side of it. And it is rare that people transition very, very easily. It's rare, I think.
I'm
It's
so
a,
glad you told me that. I'll have to talk to her about that next week because that is probably a question that she's never thought of.
I didn't.
Yeah.
I I mean, when I was working for the government, when I just prior to me leaving,
Mhm.
I was on national committees. I was changing the face of Veterans Affairs Canada. I had won awards. I was being asked on a daily basis. People were asking for me to be on national committees. I did not realize. And my boss wouldn't let me go because we were too much in turmoil. We had too many people off on leave and things. But um, I mean, I was respected for what I was doing, what
Hmm.
I knew. And when I left, all of a sudden it was like, whoa, now what? Who am I without the knowledge?
Yeah.
Who am like without that knowledge, right?
Yeah. And
Who
without
am
the
I
title and
without the title? Who am I without the awards? I mean, I still have them, but they carry much more weight when you're actually working for the department that you got them in, right?
yeah.
Who am I when I'm not being asked for my expertise at a national government level? And there is I don't know, it is a wild ride. I'm telling you, when you're transitioning, it is a wild ride because you start to look at where like who am I, but also how did people treat me? You look at, was I mistreated? Did I put up with too much shit that I shouldn't have? And
Mm.
this is my time to say what I've always wanted to say and I couldn't because I had a muzzle on me. I mean, it's like
Yeah.
and also, oh my gosh, I'm gonna miss you guys so much.
Mm.
It is
Mm.
fascinating.
That's awesome though.
Yeah,
But with that, I'm thinking we might be out of town.
we are. Oh, I
Yes.
can't wait to hear how it goes with this client of yours next.
I know. Because that I think that is my next step with her. Is it might make her crankier.
Possibly. But
But
I
if she's
do
ready
feel,
for it.
and I do feel as though shifting to like, who am I after this
Hmm.
is a really good shift because it helps you get out of that like stuckness.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
I love it. I can't wait.
Who am I after this? I like that. Okay. Well, thank you,
Awesome.
Sandra, and have a great week. And thank you guys for joining us. We'll see you next Thursday on the Happy Half Hour. Bye.
Bye.